right, a lot to talk about here. Let's bring back in Andrew Lieb, Doug Merrill, two great defamation attorneys. Andrew, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think the jury will roll in and the damage that these parents suffered as a result of the murders by the killer versus Alex Jones? Because again, another thing Alex Jones is saying is when people say Sandy Hook, they say my name. They don't say the name of the actual killer.
Well, I think he's trying to play that as a defense, just like you were referencing, Vinny. But I have to tell you, I think the real key here is that this is not just a defamation case. This is about unfair trade practices. And that's already been established by that default judgment that you referenced before. And what they're trying to show from the prosecution of this is that we have unethical behaviors that offend public policy. So the real question is on the verdict sheet, when we're going forward and we're seeing what the jury's question, it's not like a jury can just write down their whole story of what they do. There's specific questions of what they get. And by getting this unfair trade practices is how they're going to get uncapped punitive damages in Connecticut. And I think that he's in for a rude awakening because of that default judgment having not shown up till today.
And the punitive damages, as you say, uncapped, that's really the key, Doug, to getting the big types of numbers that we saw, first of all, in Texas and that we could potentially see here.
Right, and as we know in the Texas case, that punitive damage number may not turn out to be anywhere near the $45+ million. And there are caps in Texas that could well kick in depending upon how this case ultimately plays out and gets argued. But you know what's interesting too about the clip you showed is that the family's lawyer pointed out that at the top of that web page, there was a banner advertising fish oil. And so what he is doing, and what I think the family's lawyer appropriately pointed out, is that he's continuing to profit off of these insane claims. And so I think that ultimately is going to be his undoing, along with what Andrew correctly pointed out, that in Connecticut, the Unfair Trade Practices Act, he has already been found liable. And the only question is, how much is that liability going to be worth?
So, Andrew, let me ask you about figuring out how much money he made from the Sandy Hook shooting hoax story versus everything else that he talks about. How can you... how do you figure out if someone's buying supplements because of that or because of something else that he's talking about?
Well, I have to tell you, Vinny, I think that's why we're at this default in the first place, because they tried to get discovery of all of this stuff and be able to prove all of this stuff a year ago, back in November, and they weren't given this information. And over, the questioning is about that. But I have to digress again, because, again, the point is that if they were just doing defamation, there's a cap in Connecticut. But because of this unfair trade practices, even if the compensatory damages are little on that tied numbers you said, the punishment and outrage damages could be immeasurable. And that's where I see this really going.
So, Doug, at the end of the day for Alex Jones, is there anything that he could say, because he could take the stand again in his own case, right? Is there, and be cross-examined by his attorneys as well. Is there anything that he could say that could change the trajectory of his persona, of his likability? Because when I talked about all those other celebrities at the top of the show, the one thing they all had in common is that they were universally loved before whatever brought them into the courtroom. So they had that certain something. Can he turn a knob and change on direct versus the cross? Or, you know, when his own attorney's questioning versus the adversary?
Boy, you know, Vinny, I think that that this is really baked in. People on this jury, whether they have said so or not, have an opinion about who Alex Jones is and what they think he is capable of and what they think he stands for. And for those jurors who may not have had an opinion about him, I think his testimony today does extraordinary damage to him because they have seen him as a bully and as somebody who is refusing to take responsibility in this case, and who is continuing through his website, even up until now, to profit off of mass killing claims. And so I think it's going to be an extraordinary uphill battle for him to try to resurrect his image, or to create an image that's favorable in the minds of any potentially undecided jurors.
Doug Merrill, Andrew Lieb, incredible insight. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us tonight. We'll see you again real soon.
Thank you.
All right.